I'm Hillary, and this is part 1 in our series on building a wood-framed raised bed garden. In this video, we're going to discuss site selection. Specifically, we're going to discuss how you can use sunlight, access to water, existing soil quality, existing vegetation, and site access to determine the best spot for you to build your vegetable garden.
So when thinking about site selection, the most important thing to consider for your garden is the amount of sunlight that spot will receive. In most locations, more sunlight is always better. The general guidance is 6 to 8 hours of sunlight in the middle of the growing season as a minimum, but 10 or 12 hours is even better. If you live in a place like Arizona where there's really intense summer sun, you may actually need to shade your garden during the summer. But for most people, they're looking for the sunniest spot they can get access to.
When searching for the perfect site for your new garden, it's important to keep in mind that the sunniest area may be on any side of your house. So that means it could be to the north, south, east, or west. It all depends on the house's location, the number and location of nearby trees and fences, and the location of nearby houses and other structures. If you want to place a garden on the north side of a house, assume that the house will cast a shadow towards the north for the distance equal to its height. A house will not cast any shadow to the south, so a garden on the south side can be placed as close to the house as you like. Another thing to keep in mind for those of you in milder climates is that southwest exposure is slightly better than southeast exposure because the afternoon sun is generally warmer than the morning sun.
I know you think your phone's useless, but it's good for one thing, checking the arc of the sun. But seriously, before you build a new garden, take the opportunity to confirm it's going to get enough sun to grow healthy crops. You can download an app onto your phone that will actually show you the number of hours the site gets of sunlight. So all you do is get the app and then look through the camera on your phone and count the hours of sun that the area gets. When taking the sun reading, make sure you get down low so you're at the same height your vegetable plants will be. A couple of other things to keep in mind when picking a site. Unless you live at the equator, the arc of the sun is going to change throughout the year. So in the winter, it might be low in the sky, and in the summer, much higher. And that's going to impact where you place your garden. Also, and this may sound obvious, but deciduous trees lose their leaves in the winter. So if you're building a garden when the deciduous trees have all dropped their leaves, it may look like your site gets sun, but then in the summertime, once it fills back out, that space could be in complete shade. So this tree is a great example. Right now, it might look like the spot I'm standing in gets plenty of sun, but actually come summer, that's going to be full of leaves and this is going to be in the shade. So another important thing to consider is access to water. You typically can't count on rainfall alone to supply all the water you need for your garden. So before you start building, figure out where your water is going to be coming from. During this series, we're going to show you how to build a drip irrigation system, but regardless of the type of watering system you use for your garden, you're going to want to be able to make sure you can get it out there easily, anytime you need it. Most homes won't have high enough quality soil to plant right into the ground, and that's one reason you might be thinking about building raised beds. However, even if you build raised beds and bring in your own soil, the existing soil underneath may still be a factor. Your plant roots won't stop growing just because they get to the bottom of your garden bed. The most common source of soil contamination is lead. If your home was built before 1978, it may have had lead paint on it, and some of that lead paint may have found its way into the soil. This is usually only an issue if you're building a garden right up against the house. However, if you have any concerns about soil contamination, take a soil test before you build. Another key factor to consider is the existing vegetation on site. So this is a conifer or evergreen, and they have very aggressive root systems. So if it's near your garden, they can actually fill your whole garden with roots, even growing up vertically and competing with your vegetable crops. If you need to put a garden in near conifers, put down some sort of barrier like a heavy-duty landscaping fabric underneath the beds and pathways to prevent the roots from coming in.
We're all for getting creative and using otherwise unused spaces to grow food. But it's essential that wherever you end up siting your growing space, it needs to be easy to access. Annual vegetable crops grow relatively quickly and need to be checked on often. So set up your garden so that it's easy to get to and work in. Ideally, new vegetable beds are not only easy to access, but they're also visible from your home. The site we've chosen to build the garden for this series is to the north of a house. This site will receive 6 hours of sunlight starting at the beginning of April. That number will increase as the season progresses and as the sun gets higher in the sky. So by our peak growing season, which is midsummer, this site will receive 8 to 10 hours of sunlight per day. You'll notice there is a deciduous tree adjacent to the site, but it's to the north of the garden, and so it won't cast a shadow over the crops during the growing season. In addition to receiving plenty of sunlight, this site is adjacent to a hose spigot, making it super easy to set up drip irrigation and to water by hand. And another great attribute is that it is accessible, so it's going to be very easy to care for this new garden space.